everyone, Donna Spencer from Lucra Journeys. Wanting to talk to you today about the port of St. Kitts, or the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. I tell you, calling it the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, at least I hope that's how you say it, sounds a lot like I'm talking about a Star Trek planet, but I'm not. I'm talking about a little, independent sovereign nation just a little bit south of the equator called St. Kitts. Gets to hold the record for being the smallest sovereign nation in the Americas for both area and population. And it's also the first port or colonial settlement from both Britain and France in the Caribbean. Standard currency is again the US dollar and all major credit cards. There are a multitude of banks and ATMs, most of them on corners, but fees do apply just like here in the States. Bartering, not really, unless you get one of the outskirt shops on a slow day like we did. There's three rows of stores, and if you get towards the outskirts of them, especially the ones closest to the water, on slow days, they will actually barter with you a little bit if you're buying in bulk. Another something interesting I thought we would point out is, I'm sure anybody who's been to these places has realized that a lot of these stores sell a lot of the same type of products. A common sense thought is perhaps they have the same umbrella company that's feeding them their merchandise. Well, it's even more tight than that. I think a number of these stores are actually being run by the same people, just with slightly different names, because when my husband went into the one that we're referring to at the very end closest to the water, and he happened to see behind me, the wind chimes there that we like to collect. You see the pink one there. Well, he was hoping to get it in blue to kind of match the others and to kind of match the room. And they had a couple in blue in another store. So the store owner actually ran to the other store to bring back what he thought we might like in the blue. Now, it wasn't anything like the nice pink one behind us, so we ended up obviously taking the pink one. But I thought it was extremely telling that he could run to another store real quick to get what he thought we might be interested in the color we were asking for. We did buy in bulk. There was a number of items my husband was purchasing, so perhaps they felt that little extra bit of service would help ensure the sale, and it did to an extent. We were very impressed with his willingness to go that little extra bit for us, but as we were walking away, I thought it was super telling in regards to how the administrative or business finance works on some of these import stores. All right, the immediate terrain in the area, like we were just discussing, is pretty paved and pretty even. Reminded me a lot of the roads here in the Midwest, but they were still paved and relatively smooth for those immediate spaces. But once you got past that, once you got into the main town area, then the terrain begins to slope extremely obviously as you start working your way up the sides of these small mountains. The island is volcanic in nature, with its steepest peaks being covered by tropical rainforest. Now, this island actually has rivers that flow down from the main peaks where these tropical rainforests are and feed fresh water to the inhabitants below. But once you start getting to these mountains proper, they are almost completely uninhabited. I thought the national tree was fantastic. The national tree is the Flamboyant. It's named after the area's first French governor who brought the flamboyant tree into the area from Madagascar. The flamboyant is considered one of the tropics' most beautiful flowers, with its umbrella-shaped crown, compound fern leaves, red and yellow clusters of scalloped-shaped flowers, and these long black seed pods that the locals called shack-shacks because of the sound they make when you shake them. There are a number of pharmacy options in St. Kitts, with one of the nicest ones being in town proper on Fort Street, just north of the Pelican Mall, which marks the boundary between the marina and the cruise pier area. There are also a couple major vehicle rental services available at St. Kitts and a number of technology repair shops. One of the nicer ones, again, being just down the street, just south of that pharmacare we were talking about on Fort Street. There's no access to the swimming pool or the beach area unless you're on the boat or you've purchased an excursion. There is a great place to take children to play. It's called Independence Square. It's free and open to the public. It's through the Pelican Mall towards the north. It's a little bit of a walk, but once you get there, it's this lovely open area with this beautiful fountain in the middle that commemorates the first time they had running water to the town. It's got a number of these beautiful large trees in which the children can play in, with some wildlife that will let you get close but not too close. The square is host to a number of one-day events or festivals, and is slowly picking up popularity with the locals and travelers as a quiet, calm, green space to go and relax from the heat of the day. The restrooms, I would not say are evenly spaced and easy to find, but there is a couple restroom facilities in the Port Pier area, and there was also one that was open to public use back behind the Co-Cathedral Chapel or church that is on, I'm going to say the east, I want to say it's on the left side, I believe that's east of the Independence Square area around the back. Both were very clean. The one by the Co-Chapel, it looks like a Catholic church, but there's indications in there that there are other denominations that utilize it also, hence the reason Co-Cathedral. But back behind it is a set of independent bathrooms that are very clean and nice. Then in the pier port, those bathrooms, of course, are much more modern and relatively nice as well. On the day we docked, the area was enjoying a tax-free day. Apparently, once, I'm not sure if it's once a quarter, once a month, I couldn't seem to get the actual time frame, but every so often the area does a tax-free day where all purchases are tax-free. When these days come, the population comes out in droves, in this case to finish up their Christmas shopping, and the streets were just packed with people. Ironically enough, a lot of the people, it seems to be a very big social event because there's a lot of individuals that stand around and talk as well with their purchases. At first we thought maybe there was some kind of a festival happening or something going on somewhere, but when we asked the police officer we came across, he indicated that it was a tax-free shopping day, hence the reason everybody was out. The police were out in force. Their presence was very accessible and very plentiful, which of course made us feel a little easier since we were in a port we'd not been in before and was not familiar with local customs or population behaviors. On a downside though, now whether this is the state of being for them or whether we just hit them at a bad time because of COVID and they had labor issues as well, or it had something to do with the tax-free day, there were piles and piles of trash in all kinds of corners, which was very sad to see because it's a beautiful area. But we had to be very, very mindful of the trash that tried to collect in the gutters and in crevices and in little corner areas as we walked. One of their main attractions that they like to put on their maps is called the Circus. And it's named this way because this area was designed after a circus over in Europe. Now when you say I said circus or they said circus, you know, I'm thinking lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my. It's not. It's actually a very popular place for taxi drivers to park and wait for patrons or potential clients to come. So if you're looking for someone to drive you around and you didn't get an excursion, you would want to go to the Circus. It is built in a manner that reminds you of the historical importance of the area. It is not overly large, I would say, in regards to turnabouts and places where people will congregate for taxi services, but it is super busy. Pedestrians definitely have the right of way here because there's no markings on the road and you just walk out. It was, yeah, definitely one of those things I watched for a little while to kind of get a feel for it, and I was like, you know, there was a couple close calls. Towards the end of the day, there was a group of young men who were demonstrating a folk dance of some kind. Unfortunately, again, I was not able to corner anybody to give me any information on this. It dealt with a bull, a couple bulls, and a whip. And I didn't videotape it because I was actually a little concerned with the way they were cracking the whip. Maybe it's the mom in me, I don't know, but the way I don't know if this is the way they traditionally did this, or he might have been trying to crack the whip in the manner he was to keep it from hitting anybody, but it was far from safe, and I did not want to inadvertently videotape a medical emergency, so we did not pull out our cameras for it. But none of the locals seemed to think twice about this particular display, so it must have been something that is directly connected with their culture and their history. One of the other things you'll notice that I personally found very interesting is they were able to maintain the old cobblestone gutter system around this circus. Again, fascinating. Unfortunately, very dirty though, so I attempted to take video of an area that looked relatively clean, but as you can tell from the color of the water, I'm not quite sure what might have been running in that water. I wasn't going to test it and find out. But it was also, I was getting bumped around quite a bit by the sheer number of people trying to walk along, just walking in the streets. So if you are the least bit skittish about pickpockets, you're going to want to make sure that anything you're carrying is in a zipper pouch of some kind. I had my bag and it was zipped up. My husband, of course, had his wallet in his front pocket down deep. We didn't have any problems. I don't believe we had anybody trying to mess with us. But if you're also prone to group anxieties or easily overwhelmed by excessive amounts of noise and movement, if it's that tax-free day, you might want to do an excursion that day because it is just teeming with activity. Rather interesting for people watching. If you're a people watcher, this is your spot. The other thing that we noticed that we kind of made us smile is the odd is not really odd here. As demonstrated, you can see we have a street full of, well, it looks like relatively well cared for vehicles, and then all of a sudden, in the middle of nowhere, is this beat up rusty old tractor that was still running with a trailer. Again, nobody seemed to think twice about this. This tended to be the theme throughout the afternoon. Don't be surprised, I guess, by what you see, because the odd is apparently not odd here in St. Kitts. Can I finish now? Let's see options in St. Kitts. Starting to pick up population. Sorry. All right, we did it. We did it. Do we want to do it again? I don't think so.